All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. You know we love to dig into those fan theories that really get you thinking.
Yeah.
And today we've got one that, well, it really reimagines Usopp's potential power-up in the Elbaf arc.
Interesting.
So, get ready. We're diving deep into the world of One Piece. And we're going to be using this document that you sent over called Corrected Usopp Power Up for Elbaf.txt.
Okay, Elbaf, the Island of Giants. You know, it's fascinating how this location, just steeped in legend and brimming with these formidable warriors, might actually hold the key to unlocking Usopp's true potential.
Exactly. We're all waiting for him to, finally step up and become that brave warrior of the sea that he always talks about. But let's face it, the recent chapters in this Elbaf arc are really showing him struggling. Remember when even just a giant cat creature, had him on the ropes?
Yeah, it's a stark contrast to the power levels that we're seeing, from the monster trio.
Whoa.
And it really emphasizes how urgent it is for Usopp to level up, especially because Elbaf is the islands that he's been dreaming of visiting since the Little Garden arc.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like his proving ground.
Yeah.
So this document, kind of explores all the popular theories about how Usopp could get stronger.
Okay.
I mean, Habaki seems like the obvious choice.
Yeah.
He's dabbled in observation Habaki before, even pretended to have Conqueror's Haki during the Wano arc.
Right.
But the author of this document argues that Habaki alone might not be enough. And it might not even really suit his fighting style.
I think that's a valid point. When we consider Usopp's primary role as a sniper, it makes sense that his upgrade should really complement his existing strengths.
Yeah.
Strategic thinking, trickery, long-range attacks, simply boosting his physical strength wouldn't really do him justice.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. This document proposes a pretty out-there theory. Usopp upgrading his arsenal with Miss Goldenweek's color trap paint. Remember her?
Oh yeah, from the Little Garden arc.
Yeah, she used those hypnotic paints to manipulate emotions.
Color trap paint is a fascinating concept. It's a subtle form of psychological warfare that we haven't seen a lot of in One Piece. But it has the potential to be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Especially in the hands of someone like Usopp.
I know, right? It's like, what if instead of just hitting people with explosives, he starts messing with their heads? The author kind of links this theory to Usopp's emotional nature.
Okay.
His struggles with fear, his incredible loyalty to his friends, and even his surprising resilience to Perona's negative hollow in Thrillerberg.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he was the only one unaffected because he was already so negative himself.
That's a clever connection. It suggests a certain resistance to mental manipulation, and perhaps even an aptitude for it. It'd be interesting to see Oda explore the concept of emotional resilience as a form of strength in One Piece.
Now, to really kind of get into this theory, we need to revisit Miss Goldenweek's post-Alabasta cover story. A lot of fans overlook those cover stories,
Right.
but they often hold these valuable clues about the world and the characters.
You're absolutely right. Those cover stories often introduce elements that later become relevant to the main plot. In Miss Goldenweek's case, we see her color trap abilities kind of evolving beyond simple emotional manipulation.
For example, she befriends this giant pteranodon using the yellow-green of friendship, basically taming it with paint. And then she uses Betrayal Black to control Marines, forcing them to do her bidding. These examples alone show that color trap paint can affect a wide range of individuals, even powerful ones. Imagine Usopp painting a giant with runaway red or something.
Now, let's not forget the Rainbow of Dreams. This technique is truly bizarre. Miss Goldenweek creates a giant rainbow, and it allows people to temporarily embody their deepest desires. It even changes their clothes.
Whoa, wait, that's nuts. We see this happen to Crocodile in the cover story, and he's furious about it.
It's a fascinating detail. It suggests that deep down, Crocodile still yearns for the title of Pirate King, even though he publicly claims to have moved on. But more importantly, the Rainbow of Dreams showcases the sheer potential of color trap paint to manipulate someone's will and actions. Imagine Usopp using this technique to turn enemies against each other or to force them to make tactical blunders.
Think about the implications for combat. It wouldn't just be about raw power. It would be about disrupting your opponent's perception and judgment. It would be a perfect counter to someone like Van Augur, Blackbeard's sniper, who relies heavily on observation halaki for his long-range accuracy. Imagine Usopp painting the battlefield with illusions, making it nearly impossible for Van Augur to target him accurately.
It would level the playing field in a way that aligns with Usopp's strengths as a strategist and a trickster. And consider this, even if Usopp didn't want to use Color Trap offensively, he could use it defensively, creating a psychological barrier around himself and his allies. Perhaps painting his allies with courage yellow to enhance their bravery, or even using paint to camouflage themselves more effectively.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this. It's not just about direct attacks. It's about using psychology to control the flow of battle.
Right.
Now, the big question is, how does Elbaf fit into all of this?
Well, the document points out several interesting connections. First, remember how the very beginning of the Elbaf arc was shrouded in illusion and misdirection? It felt like stepping into a fairy tale world where perception was unreliable.
Oh, yeah. But what if Elbaf is inherently linked to illusions or altered states of consciousness? And that's why color trap paint would be particularly effective there.
It's an intriguing possibility. And remember, Django's hypnotic powers come from a mushroom.
Oh, yeah.
Could Miss Goldenweek's paint be derived from a similar source? We know Elbaf has lush jungles with unique flora and fauna.
You're right. Elbaf could easily have some rare plant or fungus with hypnotic properties. It would be a perfect way for Usopp to discover and learn about color trap paint organically within the arc.
And thematically it would make sense. Elbaf is steeped in Norse mythology, where illusions and trickery are common themes. It's the perfect setting for Usopp to embrace a fighting style that relies on deception and mental manipulation.
Expert speaker. Okay, I'm getting really excited about this color trap idea, but there's one big question. Where does Miss Goldenweek fit into all of this? I mean, she isn't exactly hanging out in Elbaf right now, as far as we know.
That's where this document gets really interesting. It points to a few clues that suggest a possible comeback for Miss Goldenweek. First, her cover story doesn't just showcase, her expanded color trap skills. It also positions her for a return to the main story.
Okay.
Think about it. Nearly every cover story in One Piece eventually ties back into the main narrative.
You're totally right. CB9 Caribou, even Enel's crazy adventure on the moon, they all came back in some way. It's like Oda is playing this long game, setting up these seemingly minor events that have a huge payoff down the line.
Exactly. And in Miss Goldenweek's case, her cover story ends with her opening a new Spider's Cafe.
Yeah.
On a desert island with some of her former Baroque Works comrades. Interestingly, we recently saw Miss Goldenweek on a desert island again. In a message from Vegapunk. This message shown in chapter 1115 basically reveals that Vegapunk has been secretly communicating with various figures around the world.
Whoa. So Oda is definitely dropping hints here. It's not just a random coincidence that she's on a desert island again. It feels very deliberate, like a setup for her return.
And let's not forget that part of Baroque Works has already joined the Cross Guild. It wouldn't be surprising if the rest of them followed suit, especially with the world in such turmoil.
And remember her epithet, Flag Bearer of Freedom. I mean, that seems way too significant. For a character who's just going to fade into obscurity,
Right.
It suggests she has a bigger role to play. Perhaps even in the fight against the world government.
Yeah.
Talk about foreshadowing.
It definitely adds another layer of intrigue. It's like Oda is saying, pay attention to this character. She's going to be important later. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about Usopp's father, Usopp, the legendary sniper of the Red Hair Pirates.
Oh man, Usopp. We've only seen glimpses of his power, but that one scene where he casually destroys a ship with a single shot was insane. Talk about setting a high bar for Usopp to live up to.
It definitely establishes the potential for incredible marksmanship in One Piece. And let's not forget Van Augur, one of Blackbeard's commanders, who's also considered a top-tier sniper. Usopp's going to need a serious edge if he wants to compete with those guys.
Right. But this document makes a good point that just giving Usopp more firepower wouldn't be true to his character. He's not a brute force kind of fighter.
Right.
He's all about strategy, trickery, using his environment to his advantage. That's where color trap paint really shines. It allows him to outsmart opponents who might be physically stronger than him.
Exactly. Imagine Usopp using color trap paint to turn his enemies against each other or to create illusions that distract them long enough for him to land a crucial shot. It would be both hilarious and awesome to see those strategies play out in a battle.
Oh, I can already picture the reactions from the other Straw Hats. Luffy would be completely confused. Zoro would probably just shrug it off. And Sanji would be trying to figure out how to use the paint to his advantage with the ladies.
It's those moments of character interaction that really bring One Piece to life. But beyond the humor, there's also a deeper layer of symbolism at play.
Okay.
This document delves into the meaning of the Rainbow Bridge in Norse mythology, where it represents not just a physical connection between realms, but also hope, transformation, and the pursuit of the impossible.
That totally fits with Usopp's journey throughout One Piece. He's always striving to overcome his fears, to become braver, to achieve things that seem out of reach. And what could be more symbolic of that than literally building a bridge to the sky?
It would represent a culmination of his growth, both as a fighter and as a person.
Yeah.
And it would be a fitting tribute to Mont Blanc Noland, who was punished for believing in something that seemed impossible to others.
Yes, Usopp could be the one to vindicate Noland, to prove that dreams, no matter how outlandish, are worth fighting for. Who knows? Maybe Elbaf will even reveal a deeper connection between Usopp and Noland, perhaps through a shared ancestry or some other hidden link.
Now, there's one more intriguing connection that this document brings up.
Okay.
Remember the symbol of Nika, the mythical warrior god, that Luffy's devil fruit awakened into?
Yeah, the symbol of liberation and joy. I remember it vividly.
Well, Nika is usually depicted holding a spear and a sword. But what if that spear is actually a giant paintbrush?
Whoa, that's a wild thought. But you know, the tip of a paintbrush does resemble the spear in the Nika symbol. And considering all this talk about art and creativity in relation to color trap paint, that's not entirely implausible.
Exactly. It could be a subtle hint from Oda, suggesting a deeper connection between the power of Nika and the creative potential that Usopp might unlock. Perhaps there's a hidden link between the warrior god of liberation and the ability to paint a new reality.
That's a really cool idea. It would add another layer to the whole concept of inherited will and the idea that certain abilities and destinies are passed down through generations. What if Usopp is unknowingly carrying a piece of Nika's legacy through his artistic talents and his potential to wield color trap paint?
It's definitely food for thought. It highlights the interconnectedness of everything in One Piece. Every detail, every symbol, every character interaction could hold a deeper meaning, a clue to the grand mysteries that Oda is slowly unraveling.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about Usopp's struggles, the potential of color trap paint, the clues pointing to Miss Golden Week's return, the symbolism of the Rainbow Bridge, and even a possible connection to the legendary Nika. But where do we go from here? What kind of Elbaf journey awaits Usopp based on all of this?
That's the beauty of it. We can speculate, theorize, and analyze all we want. But ultimately, it's up to Oda to reveal the full picture. What's clear from this deep dive is that there's so much more to Usopp than meets the eye. He's not just the comic relief or the cowardly sniper. He's a complex character with hidden depths, a dreamer constantly striving to become something more.
And I think that's why so many fans are invested in Usopp's journey. You know, we see a bit of ourselves in him, that desire to overcome our fears, to reach for the impossible, to become the heroes of our own stories.
Absolutely. It's that relatability that makes him such a compelling character. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to throw one final thought, something that wasn't explicitly mentioned in the document, but that's been kind of swirling in my mind.
Ooh, I love a good cliffhanger. Lay it on me.
What if Usopp's mastery of color trap paint goes beyond combat?
Okay.
What if it allows him to tap into a deeper understanding of human nature, the power of emotions, the very forces that shape our perceptions and actions?
Whoa, that's deep. I mean, we've seen how color trap can manipulate emotions, but could it also be used to heal, to inspire, to foster understanding and empathy? Could be a tool for connection rather than just conflict?
Exactly. Imagine Usopp using color trap paint, not as a weapon, but as a tool for peace, reconciliation, for bringing people together.
That's a powerful image. It would be a radical shift from his current role as a sniper, but it would also be a natural progression of his character arc. He's always been the one to see the good in others, even his enemies. He's the heart of the Straw Hats, the one who reminds them of the importance of compassion and forgiveness.
And in a world that's increasingly divided, a world on the brink of war and chaos, maybe that's the kind of hero we need, someone who can bridge the gaps between cultures, ideologies, even entire worlds, someone who can paint a brighter future one stroke at a time.
You know, that actually ties back to the Nika symbolism we were talking about earlier. Nika represents liberation and joy. And what could be more liberating than breaking free from hatred and fear? What if Usopp's mastery of color trap paint allows him to unlock that same joyful, unifying energy?
That's a fascinating connection. It speaks to the deeper themes of One Piece. Breaking down barriers, finding common ground, believing in the power of dreams to change the world.
So as we eagerly await the next chapter in Usopp's Elbaf journey, let's hold on to that hope, that possibility. Even in the darkest of times, there's always room for a splash of color, a touch of whimsy, and a belief in the power of imagination to create a better tomorrow.
And who knows, maybe Usopp's journey will inspire us to do the same. to embrace our own creativity, challenge our limitations, and build bridges where others see only obstacles.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, keep dreaming big, keep exploring, and keep believing in the power of stories to connect us all.